Let's talk. Hi YouTube, it's 13th of March. This is going to be a video talking about my road to getting a diagnosis. And it was a very long and very, I'm going to mute this because I hear myself in my headphones echoing back. I don't like that because it screws up my thought. As a kid growing up, I never was able to get the services that I needed because they simply didn't exist for kids like me. A lot of people who saw me at the time really didn't know what to make of me because I had a lot of the classic autism signs, but I was verbal. And so, I was verbal, I was normal, I was actually advanced verbal. I had a much larger, and it was observed that I had a very, the classic adult vocabulary when I was very little. And so the people who were around at the time who worked with kids, teachers, whatnot, they never made any kind of connections. And even back then, this was before ADA or well, this was during the EHA eras, but before ADA and IDEA. So when it came to special ed, it was either mainstream me or put me into a separate school that had nothing but special ed students. And so I ended up being mainstreamed because my parents didn't want me being stuck in a special school. So everything for me as far as seeing specialists, it started when I was actually in preschool, when I was like 4. I remember my mom telling me that the school district had brought in one of their specialists to watch me because they had some concerns about me, and apparently the day that she was there I had a meltdown in preschool, and apparently it was a really good one. I don't remember it. I only remember like 2 or 3 meltdowns. I'm gonna go turn my furnace off because that's gonna make noise. Okay, the furnace is turned off, and that's just going to make noise, and it's going to interfere with my train of thought. But so as I was saying, I had my first encounter with the specialist when I was 4, and she was up scratching her head, and she had her, according to my mom, she had her master's in child psychology, which kind of gives you an idea of the state of child, or the state that things were in 30 some years ago. So I got to kindergarten, and within a month my teacher had noticed that I was kind of way out there in left field, and so I had to see counselors every day, or not every day but every week. That went on for 7 years during when I was in grade school. My school had 2 counselors, and it kind of became a tradition. Every Friday afternoon about 2 p.m. I would go to the office, and I would spend the rest of my day with them, talking about the week and what I did wrong, what I did right, and how I can make things better. But my life in school, it varied a lot. It was mainly dependent on the teachers and the students that I was paired with. But the general trend that seemed to develop was that the even-numbered years were the awful years for me, and the odd-numbered years tended to be the good years for me. So 1st, 3rd, and 5th grade were good years. 2nd, 4th, and 6th were bad years for me. Especially 2nd grade, that was a really bad year for me. And one of the things that really that kind of served as a call to attention, that kind of forced my parents to seek action and try and get me evaluated, was because 2nd grade my meltdowns got really bad, and it got to the point where I was beginning to self-injure when I was having meltdowns, and I would get on the floor and I would start bashing my head on the floor, and it absolutely freaked the heck out of everybody at my school, at my grade school. They had never seen anything like this before, and they didn't know what to do, and it scared them because they thought that I was gonna, do something to myself. And so I had my first evaluation by school district psychologists. This was towards the end of my second grade year. And I remember I would have to spend mornings from like 8 to 10. I think this was like a week-long thing where I would be in, it was a team of 3 people, and I just spent the morning with them and we did evaluations. And when they got done, they said that I was emotionally and behaviorally disturbed, and they recommended that I be placed in special ed. And so, as I had said earlier in the video, at the time, the school district that I went to, special ed was only, there was a school that was for the whole county that was a special ed school, and all the districts that were in the county sent their special ed students to this school to deal, so that they could be dealt with there. And my parents went to that school, and they said that when they saw a tour of the school, the place was basically more or less a circus, and they decided that they wanted nothing to do with that place, and to have me there was not going to be an option. So they pretty much forced the school's hand to mainstream me, and a lot of good things came from that, but also a lot of bad things came from that. But that's a topic for a whole other video. So we got to 3rd grade. My 3rd grade teacher I was compatible with, and I was with students who were compatible with me, so I had a fairly decent year. But then 4th grade happened, and I had a teacher that I was incompatible with and students that I was incompatible with, and so I had another really bad year. And after 2nd grade, between 2nd and 3rd grade that summertime, I was seen by a neurologist. I was given an evaluation by a neurologist, and I couldn't find any paperwork from that, but he pretty much came up with the same conclusions that the school district did, that I had emotional and behavioral problems. But so after 4th grade, I finally had I was given a really thorough workup by a psychologist. And it was at that time that they decided that he diagnosed me as having ADHD with severe anxiety and depression issues. And I was put on meds, and also at the same time, that same evaluation determined that I was severely delayed when it came to motor skills. I was 10 years old, but I had the effective motor skills of a kindergartner, and it definitely showed because I couldn't do ball sports in gym class at school. I always had to just sit and hang out on the sidelines and just not, be an active participant, because there was just no way that I couldn't punt, I couldn't pass, I couldn't catch, I couldn't kick. I couldn't do any of that stuff. So that was between 4th and 5th grade, and then they put me on meds. And then I got to junior high school. My parents took me off the meds. I had another disastrous year, and I ended up going back to the psychologist, and we had counseling sessions for a number of months. And so that elicited no change, and so my parents finally decided that it was not gonna, that counseling wasn't working for me, so they pulled me off from that, and my parents were kind of at a loss as to what to do, and I pretty much struggled my way through junior high, high school. High school wasn't so bad, but I did get through high school, but there were a lot of problems, and Let me think here. So yeah, I was 18 and I finally, and I struggled when I had to go out into the workforce for the first time and get a job and do all the stuff that you had to do to keep a job. I struggled with that. I struggled in college. There was just a lot of things going on, and I was just kind of, at a loss because I never really figured out what the heck was going on with me. So I just went through life in limbo. But eventually, things would change, and it was it was just before, it was right after Memorial Day 2004. It was actually the 1st of June. It was just, a lazy day. Had some stuff to do. I needed to go do my truck that you've seen in some of my videos. I had to go get new tires for the truck, so on that particular day, I was at the auto place and picked up a newspaper, and it just happened to have a thing in the youth section about Aspergers, and it kind of piqued my eyes and was like, I'm gonna have to go check this out when I get home. And so sure enough, I got home and I popped on the web, and the first site that I came across was the Oasis website, and started reading it, and it just suddenly hit me that, what I was experiencing was me. So yeah, when I read that website, and everything on it made sense, as far as it felt like I was reading something that had been written about me. And what had happened was as soon as I realized, or as soon as it hit me that was describing me, I actually had to go lay down on my bed because I just became so absolutely overwhelmed that I just had to go lay down. Because I found the answer. And it was completely by chance, but I could feel the weight coming off the shoulders, the weight just lifting away. And I could feel the new, it was that moment that, I felt the new me emerge. And yeah, it definitely, it marked an epoch in my life. And so so the summer of 2004 was kind of a summer of rediscovery for me, because I finally had an answer to explain who I was, and I honestly felt like that I was reborn. I felt like that I was a new person, and it was a good time to have that happen to me too, because I had finished junior college finally, and then I was moving on to 4-year college to finish up my degree, and so it was a good time to have that happen because I was going to be actually out on my own for the first time. And I was scared as hell to do it because I'd never faced a challenge that big before, and so it really, really did help that I was able to figure that out, and I was able to get a hold of myself. Because for the first time, I was, able to come up with coping strategies and other things to and I was able to recognize the things that I was doing. And the negative things that I was doing, and to be able to stop and change those. And so it came to be that I got through that first year of college, away from home at UW Oshkosh, 2004, 2005. In the summer of 2005, I actually made a big leap in faith. And I actually went back to the same psychologist who said that I originally had ADHD. And it was after that, after a couple sessions with him, talking and doing some tests, he came back with a diagnosis and said, yep, you've got Asperger's. And so that was the summer of 2005, and so finally I had affirmed what I'd realized the year before, and that is my story of being diagnosed with being on the autism spectrum. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully do another video sometime in the future.